All right. We're jumping on live here. My man Garen Jones is about to join us. I'm gonna set this up here. Let's get here. All right, guys. I'm giving this a shot. I've had some Wi-Fi issues, so I apologize. We were supposed to be on live at 11 a.m. But hopefully this works and we get this kicking into gear here. If I get Wi-Fi issues and it goes down, I apologize. We will do everything we can to get Garen back on. But let's give this a shot while the Wi-Fi is working. Garen is able to join us here. Thanks, everybody, joining. Drop some emojis for Garen, everyone. Drop some emojis for Garen.
Gee!
My man. Yes, sir. Oh, we got it to happen. Thank you so much for your patience and giving an opportunity to chop it up with you, Garen. Thank you. I've been having some Wi-Fi issues, so that is totally my bad. But thank you for joining, bro. Good to see you.
Man, thank you for having me on, and thank you for just using your platform to spread this message around for all of humanity to receive.
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. It's been an absolute honor getting to know you. For those of you that are just joining, Garen and I got to really bond this past weekend. My girlfriend threw a curveball and asked him to come and join us for a private gathering that I had put together last minute because of the state of the culture in Sedona, where we can really talk about the injustice and racism and everything that's been happening around us. And he took a shot. Like, Garen, what was that like, getting that email and then coming out to Sedona over this past weekend? I guess we'll start there.
So, one, I never knew anything about Sedona. I just think Arizona is hot and it's like a desert. So everybody that your girlfriend that Ashley has introduced me to, they've been like really cool people. So just off the strength of she's never let me down.
Yeah.
She was like, I think this would be really cool for you to come. And I'm like, what is it? She's like, it's this gathering with a bunch of, conscious people talking about what's going on in the world today and solutions. I was just like, where is Sedona, Arizona? I'm thinking it's like 3 hours away. I'm like, oh, it's cool. And I look up and it's 7 hours and 30 minutes. And I was like, I do not like driving. But I had a little pull on my intuition, and every time I listen to it, I like do the opposite. Something magical happens. So me and my wife, we decided to drive 7.5 hours. Got there. It was incredible. Met you, met the family. Energy was insane. Didn't know that it was a spiritual city. Like, I was just like, yo, it's like a whole different planet here. So I had a great time. Loved it. Loved you guys. And it's great to see the conversations that happened while we were in there, that it was open, that everybody listened to everybody. People listened to me. They didn't try to freaking devalue my words and say something like all lives matter. But right now there was a life that's really screaming, I need you to hear what I have to say. So for it to just be open and an open forum, and we were talking about solutions and not complaining, but it was like solution-based oriented.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, it really was, man. Thank you so much for coming and participating. It was an honor just to really hear from you and how you have had this happen in your own life and what it was like for you growing up. What has it been like for you just even now in business, and just really hearing the vulnerability from you and the truth, you speaking truth. I gave a lot of us that were in the room an opportunity to just listen and to just learn. And I really feel like, we had last week was huge. I feel like with everything that happened, the protest, the post, but I really feel like this is a marathon, not a sprint. So I kind of wanted to see, how have you been feeling now coming back from Sedona after having all those conversations, now knowing that this is a marathon, how are you feeling this week?
Well, I'm always in it for the long game. I just know from the process of 8.5 years ago, living in my car for 2.5 years and then completely transforming my life and now breathing life into humanity, that it's always been about the long game for me anyways.
Yeah.
Some people focus on short-term pleasure, and I'm focusing on long-term success. And I know that anything worth having takes time.
Yeah.
So coming back from Sedona after hearing the conversation, it just opened. What it did is, for me, as much as you guys said that I blessed you guys,
Yeah.
it was a blessing to be in a room full of non-Black people who are actually open and intrigued to hear what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because what I'm used to literally for 30 something years, every time I have something to say, someone has this, it's like self-righteousness, or like they don't want to hear my cry, or they don't want to hear what I'm saying. And then they have a creative way to kind of like push my words off to the side, like my words don't matter.
Mm.
And so what I experienced for the first time in my life is being amongst a group of people who genuinely wanted to hear everything I had to say, how I wanted to say it. And though I've done lots of work, masters, like it's spiritual psychology, 10-day silent retreats, all kind of retreats, and I've done so much work that most people in the world never do.
Yeah.
So I have the bandwidth to understand and be able to process and articulate in a way where all parties can hear exactly what I'm saying. Now, most people don't have that. And most people, if you can think of terms of how babies express themselves, it's like gaga goo goo. They only have one way to express themselves, and it's like, ah, ah. And if the mom doesn't pay attention, the baby gets louder and louder and louder, and it basically turns into a lot of tears of pain and aggression. Most people are screaming Black Lives Matter, but most people that are listening to that, they're saying, oh, all lives matter. And don't even realize, of course, all lives matter.
Right.
But what you don't realize is that this has never been a part in the context of human dignity. It's never even been a part of the conversation from the eyes looking through a Black man or Black woman's, or whatever pronoun you choose, from those eyes. So no one can make sense of it. However, if a baby is crying and a mom is like, mom, dad, and the mom never meets that child at the point of pain, or meets that child at the point of aggression, listen to me.
Yeah.
What that child now starts to do is revert inside, says, I'm not worthy. I don't matter. Self-worthiness issues, lack of confidence, and all these different things. So what will happen is that child will carry that around, not knowing any other way to think or speak. They'll just carry that insecurity around, and therefore continue to attract the same thing that was caused because that flower never received proper water and sunlight to begin with. So it didn't even know how it could prosper and grow because there was no reforming inside of that.
Mm.
So, I had a conversation with one of my white friends, and he was like, but my words don't matter. And I was like, let me share a story with you. And I've been sharing this all over the place. I said, when I was 5 years old, 5 white boys were chasing me on the park, at the park, and they were calling me nigger every day, and they were beating me up. And then one day, this one white boy said, stop, leave him alone. He didn't do anything to you. And he was like yelling at him. And in that day, I knew there was a difference, because they stopped, and they never talked about me again, and they never touched me again, and they never gave me a racial slur again. So they didn't hear my cry, but people listen to people who they can relate to. So they saw someone that looks like them saying the exact same thing I was saying. And then all of a sudden, they stopped. So when I shared with my friend in current day, so your words do matter. So your
Yeah.
silence is saying a lot of things when every day I've heard you say, oh, I'm all about people. I'm all about transformation. I'm all about this world equality. I'm all about, and I've seen you stand for trees. I've seen you stand for animals. Seen you stand for gay rights, LGBT community. But as soon as Black Lives Matter comes up, where are you?
Yeah.
If you're really about this life, then meet people at the point of pain, like the mother would meet the child at the point of pain, because underneath that pain, the child is actually saying something. And that something might be a blessing to your life right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. And I think that it's so important that we all leverage our platforms right now. We all use our voice. We all do the self-reflection as well, where those moments in our own life where we've even witnessed it, because we've all witnessed it. We've all felt it one way or another. We may not all understand what it feels like to be Garen growing up and having that happen and being called, the N-word, being, jumped and treated that way just because of the color of his skin. And all of us may not fully understand that, but we all at one point in our lives can reflect and say to ourselves, like, where have we really seen this? But we've suppressed, we felt like, oh, maybe, you were scared. You feared showing up. You feared saying something. You feared doing something. And now, it's time for you to just be real with yourself and truly acknowledge the truth that we have had this going on for far too long. And if we want to see real change, then we need to be the change. And we need to really, truly stand up and say something and leverage our voice. And that means calling out your community, calling out your friends, calling out the people you do business with, starting to be aware of it. And, I just feel like that's really powerful, bro, because I've seen that quote as well. Like it needs to be like, everyone that's out there that is white right now needs to be part of this. Like they need to call this out and speak the truth that we have had racism against our Black community for way too long. And it starts with us. So Garen, I want to, there was a real powerful moment that I had with you when we were on the drum circle. Guys, we were all like watching the full moon. This was so super dope. We were out there having fun. And it really brought me back to my Native American roots, like knowing that I have Native American in me, and I have talked to my uncle about it. And I remember being out there, I'm howling, and I just really feel connected to my heritage. But I remember being next to you, Garen, and I was like, what's interesting is you had asked me, like, so what tribe? And I was like, man, to be honest, what's been something that's been on my heart is like, I don't know. Like, and my ancestors that were alive, that were Native American, I can't go and speak to them. Like, I don't know those stories. That was, I don't know too much of that history. And I feel like I had a really powerful bonding moment for you, because I think the one thing that I realized is so much of the Black community, that a lot of America was built on slavery, and you had the Native Americans where our land was stripped from us.
When was the last time you seen an Indian? They're just gone.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's and I just feel like there's a relation there. And you said to me, and again, I kind of wanted you to address that, because you said that it was just a powerful brotherhood moment that I had with you. And that right then and there, I was like, man, I know what that feels like, because I feel like so much of us don't know Black history. And even some of the Black African Americans here in this country don't, because they were stripped of their names. They were stripped from so much, compared to people that came from the Holocaust. The Germans had so much that was put in museums, and everything was categorized so perfectly. But both the Native Americans and the African Americans that were brought here, they were stripped of their names, and it's so hard to know our history. How much do you think that plays a role in what has happened here in the programming and just in the conditioning, and in the pain And what can we do to get more aware of that history?
I have a cool little analogy to show you how powerful this is. So my mom, she used to cut the end off the bread and off the loaf of bread. And I was like, Mom, why do you cut the end off the loaf of bread? She was like, I don't know, because my mom does it. So I asked my grandmother when she died, before she died, it's like, why do you cut the end off the bread? She was like, I don't know, because my mom does it. So my great grandmother, she was 100% feather Indian.
Wow.
100%. And I remember she was 103 years old. And I was like, why do you cut the end off the bread? She said, because the toaster's too small. So I had to go back 3 generations just to find out the truth of what 2 generations ahead had no idea why they did it. So many people in society can be a certain way and not even realize it, simply because their ancestors chose to live a certain way, which domesticated the children, and then they became byproducts, which domesticated the children, and then they became byproducts. And a lot of people who say racist things, and even for Black people, a lot of people who have that deep inferiority, the deep self-hatred, you know, because there are a lot, because we were domesticated and not feeling value, because no one, like, the society didn't bring us up in a space where we had equal opportunities. So if that was the domestication, because it wasn't that long ago. So even if you're today, you're like, well, I have nothing to do with it. You got to understand, your ancestors' bloods are flowing through you right now. There are people that say things that are racist that have no idea, and they're the most loving people in the world. Here's a prime example. The other day, he was like, man, and he was joking around. He was like, I want to blackmail you. But it's so ingrained in the culture. The word blackmail, if you take it to the root, is a racist word. Wow. But it's so ingrained in the culture that you don't even realize it. So the thing about it is learning who you are, why you are, what are you doing? Learn. Most people, someone told me, I remember I was like 20 years old, and there was like this racist thing going on. He was like, go back to Africa. And I was like, I'll go back to Africa. Where you going to go back to? Because you didn't derive here. You took here. Where you going to go back to? He couldn't even answer the question. Because as long as I know, Indians was here way before Columbus was. So where would you go back to? Really? So, you know, inside of that conversation, I always tell people, like, learn why you do what you do. Once you learn more about yourself, you learn more about yourself, and then start researching, well, what is this? Well, what is this? You know, I have Irish in my blood, and I have Senegal, West Africa in my blood. So it's like a freaking battle all the time. I'm like, man, the white people that's inside of my side of my ancestors enslaved the freaking people in Senegal, West Africa. So imagine what I'm going through. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So, but for me to learn that and understand that and research that, now I'm not a byproduct of a byproduct of a byproduct of a byproduct. No. When I start thinking for myself, the only way you can think for yourself is when you take possession of your mind. The only way you can take possession of your mind is knowing how you even got here in the first place.
Right. Yeah, powerful. That's so powerful. Like, really, just, you know, going back to where you got all these beliefs, you know, from the moment that we were born. But what's interesting is, like, what you said is so true, that so many of us have things running through us from lineages, from our ancestors that have helped build, like, who we are. It's like in our genes, and we don't necessarily even know why we are the way that we are, why we think the way that we think, why our behaviors are the way that our behaviors. And, you know, now I notice it. I notice it even, I'm more conscious of it now more than ever before, even just with my parents, just seeing how they raised me, and, you know, how much their beliefs and their habits that have become my own, until I had to shift them. Like, for instance, even for me, for like with my relationship with money, you know, I had to shift my relationship with money, because growing up, we didn't have a lot of it. So it was, you know, I started realizing, I started growing up with this like unworthiness of money or scarcity of money. I had to start to shift my belief into, okay, where did I get this belief? Understanding I have a lineage of, you know, farmers and people that came from Colombia and Native Americans that had stuff stripped from them. So now I may have this fear going on in my life going forward, where I fear people taking from me, or that things are hard to get and hard to come by. So I'm constantly in this scarcity or survivalist mode. So even when I do become successful, I may not even believe that I'm worthy of that success. And I had to slow down and say, really learn, where did all this come from? Where did my ancestry really come from? Why did they feel that? Why did they were everything this survival mindset? And there's nothing wrong with it, because God bless them. If it wasn't for their sacrifice and their hard work and what they did, I wouldn't be who I am today. But I now have an opportunity to shift that and create a new belief that now I can leave down to my kids, where they can grow up understanding abundance and understanding, you know, true prosperity, spiritual prosperity, and all these things that now I had to learn in my 30s. That, man, if I would have learned from the womb coming up on the come up, my parents did the best they can with what they knew and what their grandparents knew. So we have to realize, like, what I feel now is we are the new ancestors. We are the new ancestors. So what are we going to do now going forward to shift into these new beliefs, to truly end racism, to truly end, you know, the injustice and the hate, and to fully come into full acceptance of what is true, what is real, and then what works and what doesn't work, and shift into these new beliefs. That's, I think, been one of the biggest breakthroughs for me, doing very similar work, Garen, over these last, I want to say, just 3-4 years for me. Like, at 33 years old was like my big transformational year. And right now is that time for acknowledging the truth of what's happening that has happened to our Black community for way too long, but then self-reflecting, and then here's that opportunity not to just make a stand for our Black community, but to create real transformation and heal the trauma that has happened in all of our lives, that has caused us to allow this to happen for so long. And now we can actually acknowledge and then work in that path for healing.
Yeah, bro. I'm if my heart could go like this, my heart is literally going, I'm right here with you. Yeah, bro. So it's a beautiful conversation. And I was saying to somebody the other day, and they was like, why do you think all this is happening? And the best way I can describe it is if you take your cell phone and you don't update it, and it just says, oh, it's time for a new update, and you just say later, later, later,
Always.
later, later, later. Isn't it ironic that magically your phone screen cracks? Something, the processing speed slows down. The camera doesn't work as good. There's a breakdown that happens in the phone. Okay, but every single time you update, what is happening in the update is they find faster processing speed, and they take newer, different technologies and they integrate it inside the update so that you can update along the way, so that you're ready to go to the next level, which is called the next phone, iPhone 11, iPhone 12. Boom. The system off which this country was built was flawed to begin with, because there was slave owners that created the system. The system hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So Black people were never written as a part of the system from an equality standpoint. It was built off the backs of us. So the system is still the same. Now, people have evolved. That's why slavery and racism sounds different and looks different. It's like slavery in the cotton field is now slavery inside of the freaking sweatshops in the prison. But that's a whole different conversation, because they're the ones that are working all this free trade and stuff like that. But the thing about it is the system is what created the people. And the people carried out whatever system, whatever family system you have, that's how you live your life.
Yeah.
So the system is what created the people. So most people are they're pointing at this one person. I'm like, no, the system is fucked. The system.
Yeah.
So when we can really stand for a changed system, and eventually, and I hate to say this, but it's going to happen, those old fuckers are going to die off. They're gonna pass on, and a newer generation. But it's up to that newer generation that's in charge of whatever's creating the system to right equality inside the system, and then that's gonna bring about different languaging, different marketing. I'm a master salesman, so I know when there's all this kind of trickery and marketing, and you don't want a Taco Bell, then all of a sudden you're like at Taco Bell the next day because it's inside of marketing. You can even see it with, you go to the grocery store and primary colors is where you first learn different colors. Like when you're in elementary, primary colors is attached to your inner child. Guess what? All candy wrappers are in primary colors. All gossip magazines are in primary colors. They're now starting to put alcohol, wine, and beer in the wrappings in primary colors. And healthy food is in colors that don't salivate that particular gland. So what would happen? The system, they know what they're doing because it feeds the doctors, it feeds the dentists, and it feeds all these different people. That's when it comes to a marketing standpoint. Now, what would happen if healthy food was the food that you saw right before you checked out? Magazines on mental and spiritual growth instead of gossip magazines are what you saw right before you checked out. Freaking healthy drinks. You go down the health aisle, it's not browns and oranges and freaking earth tone colors. It's in the colors of the candy wrappers. I bet you we'd have less people having rotten teeth, having diabetes and all. It's all intertwined inside the system. That's not, it's, and who are the people that get the most freaking heart problems and diabetes? It's in the Black community. So all of this is woven in to this crazy system that people think it's just this thing. It's not. It's so connected because the system is flawed, and anything that we keep doing, it's like putting icing on a mud pie. However, when the voices are stronger from our non-Black allies, then they're like, oh my God, oh wow. And then what happens is most people then start to listen differently. So it's a long, curated conversation, but I'm here for the long haul, brother.
Yeah, me too. You know, I like to say, like, it's good people in a broken system. And there's a lot of good people in the world. Deep down, their hearts are good, but they're just in a broken system, and it's time that we rebuild. And I agree with you. And I feel like there's two aspects of this conversation that's going to take, you know, listen, it's another 100 years. Like, let's make this next 100 years the greatest 100 years in American history ever. Like, really ending injustice, ending racism. Like, I want to be 100 years. Hopefully I last that long, where I'm 135 to 150 with the way that technology and everything is going. But regardless, I want to get to my hundreds, and I want to look back at, say, 2020, and I want to be like, wow, we fucking did it. We did it. We fucking really started making the change that was necessary. This isn't going to happen overnight, but we really started rebuilding and reforming the system. And there's two aspects of the system. And it's the same with leadership. And I want to talk to you about leadership. The same with leadership. Two rules. It's all about you, and it has nothing to do with you. It's so much bigger than you. So it's like first part of it is like, it's all about you. You gotta update that operating system, like he was talking about with that cell phone. You gotta update it. You gotta start reevaluating your own beliefs. Where have you been showing up in your life? Where you've been racist, or you've been, you know, you haven't looked at giving equal rights to the people at your business or your company and speaking up to your boss, like, you know, really thinking about your beliefs around abundance and spirituality and love and marriage and integrity and your values, reevaluating your values. What do you stand for? What are you not standing for anymore? Just completely reevaluating your vision, your mission, your values, like what you believe, who you are at the end of the day, and how you're showing up. And then we need to rebuild the external systems that are out there. Like, we actually need to figure out how we're going to change our political system. Media has to change. We're the new media platforms. Like, you got to start using your voice. You know, how do we change media? Same thing with education. Our education system, I'm so passionate about.
It's still the same. From when I was in kindergarten.
Right.
It's the same system. And
Right.
what are they doing? Producing average to below average people, because they get them when they're young, domesticate them with average thinking, and then we wonder why there's 2% wealthy in the world and the rest will die trying to figure it out. Yeah, because they were domesticated in average.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of the school system.
School system, yeah, and the redlining, and, you know, it's like, why are we giving different education to, you know, to the same? You got, a young black kid on one block, and you got another white kid on another block, yet two different completely school systems in form of like how the teachers are paid, the food they eat,
the books,
how many people are in the classrooms, the textbooks being old versus new. Like, there's so much that we need to change within our education system and healthcare, everything. So it's not gonna happen overnight. I think this is a 100-year run. This next century, that's where our generation, you're right, these people, the older people, are going to start to die out, and it's up to us. It really is up to us, and it's up to us as parents, you know, being the new parents. It's, you know, one of my friends, she posted a picture. She just had she has a baby, a young boy. He must be 2 years old. And she posted a picture of him holding a black doll. And I had Preston Smiles on a week ago, and they talked about that doll test. And I was like, it was a beautiful picture, because for me, I was like, there you go. Like, you know, and she's a white girl from Australia, but she posted that picture, and I was like, man, that's beautiful how she's starting to raise that child young, showing the beauty of a black baby, and just, you know, the different ethnicities that are out there. And what's really interesting is National Geographic actually put out an article. I don't know if you saw this, Garen, but by 2050, they were saying that most of the world's pigment of the skin will actually look like us, like our skin. The majority of the world by 2050. So, although we may not know what it's been like for the last 400 years to be black and grow up in America, by 2050, we're all going to have this melanin in our skin, you know, this type of look. You know, it does come back to acknowledging what has happened to our black community, and looking at 100 years from now, knowing that, like, we are all from God. You know, we all should be accepting each other regardless of regardless of what we look like. Like, it's really about acceptance. And, yeah, bro.
Something I want to add, though, because I've seen a couple of things on here. I don't think it's responsible to not acknowledge someone's color. Someone said to me the other day, "Oh, when I look at you, I don't see a black man, or I don't see." I was like, I feel like that's irresponsible. I said, how? I said, because last week you said how beautiful the colors in the rainbow are. And you're acknowledging all these, like how because he was a guy of nature, and he loves all these different kind of trees. And he was like, oh, and you see that brown tree there, and you see that there. But you look at me and you don't see color. So you're not acknowledging my uniqueness and all the things that make me unique. So I don't want to be colorblind to nobody, because I love all the variations of colors. Mm-hmm. And the guy goes, well, I just think that everyone should just be the same, and it should only just be one. I was like, yeah, this would be a boring ass world. Otherwise, there wouldn't be no WNBA. It's like everybody would just be NBA. You just got to just be one track team, and then one this and one. So I love the differences. Yeah. Because the differences create the uniqueness, underneath all of that is a bunch of freaking people who hate themselves and don't even realize it. So that's where that deep guilt comes from. That guilt and I wanted to share this with people. So I'm going to tell you how powerful insecurities and guilt is, because one of my white friends the other day is like, I saw the George Floyd freaking massacre and the lynching, modern day lynching. She didn't say that. I'm just putting that word out there. She was like, and I just felt so guilty because I've never said anything. And I just felt, and it was just this deep guilt and insecure. And I asked myself, where else have I been guilty? Because I haven't been guilty on this standpoint, but I've been guilty somewhere in my life. So this will break the people who walk around with shame when they hear Black Lives Matter, when they walk around with deep guilt when they hear that, and then try to say something. I'm going to paint it for you. I didn't have a relationship with my daughter for 15 years. And no matter how much I tried, I just had this guilt of, how can I make up for the 15 years? So every time I would talk to her, I would talk to her through the lens of guilt. And I would talk to her through the lens of insecurities. But I'm powerful. I spoke in 72 countries in the last 6 years. 50,000 people, freaking #1 best-selling author, in Forbes, all these different things. When it came to my daughter, I'm like, I hope she sees that I've changed. And I had this guilt. Now, I went to a 10-day silent retreat, and when I was done, all of a sudden I had this awareness of, it's my come from. It's where I'm coming from, why I'm not making a difference. She can't see me different if I don't see me different. So what happened was, I went from, how can I ever say something? I don't know what, a lot of people just like, well, I don't know what to say. I didn't know what to say either with my daughter. And guess what? When I shifted how I saw myself, and I went from weak person to, I am the most powerful representation of who she will marry one day. When I said that, all of a sudden something started changing inside of me, and I started speaking different, thinking different. My confidence was different. I treated her different. And that is what earned her trust back. That is what have us having a great relationship now, because I changed how I was coming to the situation. I realized that I could not make up for the last 15 years, but I could decide who I was going to be now. And in the now moment, I am the most powerful representation of who she will marry one day. And this is how powerful that influence is, because she had a boyfriend when I was my weak, guilty self that was just like me. And when I shifted, she got rid of him and got another boyfriend that was just like me. And then when I shifted, and she got rid of him and got another one that was just like me. People don't do what you say, they do what they see.
Yeah.
And when I shifted so much, and I was like, I'm just going to work on myself. She got rid of that guy, and she's like, I think I'm just going to work on myself. And now she's in college at NYU and freaking crushing the game. And I get to experience that, but not from the state of guilt and what I missed out on, but from the state of, this is who I'm going to be from here on out, period, and show up no matter what. That is what I'm calling my friends who don't know what to say, who come with guilt, who think they have to make up for 400 years of slavery or racism. Listen, you can decide who you get to be right now, and literally label that as a I am, and watch how everything shifts for you and everyone else around you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And now's that opportunity for every single one of you to lead by example. Be the change, regardless of what your past looks like. Like, now's that opportunity for you right now to switch that, how you see yourself. Look in the mirror. Shout out to Monica. Shout out to Sarah. I see you in here.
Ooh, the tribe.
Yeah, tribe's in here. So, Garen, you made a post about 2020. So,
yeah,
you know, you talked about that. I've seen a lot of people talking about this, right? Like coming into 2020, what a year already. What has this year meant to you? And what's some advice that you have for everyone who's really feeling down right now? Like I've been, you know, we've all been kind of going through it. But if you, for someone that feels depleted, that feels helpless, that feels tired, what would you say to them? And what is 2020 really taught you so far?
On the other side of resistance is the door to more. And the bigger the resistance, the bigger the thing is that's on the other side of that door. So it's, I'll tell you this, 2020, it's like 2020, my year, every year is my year. But then you hear these people say, 2020 is my year. It's going to be all these amazing things. I'm about to get this. I'm about to be this. I'm about to do that. And it was really massive and it was heightened. But anything that you call out, anything that you like, a big declaration, a big prayer, a big dream, it will unlock the equal of its resistance. And the resistance has been sent to do two things: either shape you and mold you so that you can be the level of the person that can sustain whatever it is that your dream, wishes, or desires are, or to test you to see if what you want is what you really want, and it can crush you in a second. So 2020 for me, because I have very, very, very big dreams, goals, and desires, is a direct match of all of my 2020 dreams. However, there's a reason they don't put first graders in fifth grade. You got to pass tests along the way. And if you say, because I'm an ultra marathoner, I've run 50, 60 miles at one time over mountains. If UG came to me and said, hey, Garen, can you train me to run 26.2 miles? And you've never run a mile before, I'm going to ask you, well, do you just want to finish it? Do you want to finish it walking? Do you want to finish it strong? Do you want to compete? Do you want to get first place? Depending on how you want to complete this race, that's going to determine the level of which I train you. And it's going to be a lot of resistance. And every time you come back, you'll be stronger. But this is a pretty big race. If you just want to cross the finish line, it's going to be less resistance. But if you want to compete, it's going to be more resistance. We're going to do 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, 20 miles, 20 Ks, 25 Ks, back to back. We're going to do it. And you might hate me and love me. It's so difficult. And most people say, it's so hard. I'm so struggling. It's so difficult. But what if you shift it and you say, thank you for making me better. Thank you for making me stronger, because gratitude is the glue that holds life together. And any dream you put out, it's calling you forth so that you can step into that dream. But the you right now ain't ready for that dream. So the resistance of 2020 is shaping all of us for all of our prayers, all of our dreams, the change we've been asking for years.
Yeah.
Universe is like, man, I'm tired of this shit. Pandemic, racism, another thing, hurricane, fire. Y'all gonna get y'all shit together. And everything that I'm throwing at you is it's an opportunity to choose love. Every single thing that's being thrown at us is an opportunity to choose love on both sides, on all sides. Everything from the pandemic, from the George Floyd, from the racism, from the cops, and from the hurricanes, from the this thing, from the that thing. Is it coming from love or is it coming from hate? You cannot give what you don't have. So 2020 for me has been the update. If we were iPhones, it's been the update that we've needed that is tired of us not freaking upgrading and updating. It's like, y'all motherfuckers is going to change now. That's what 2020 is for me.
Yeah, I love it, man. So powerful, bro. Yo, thank you so much, bro, for adapting to jump on live with me and to just, collab and speak your truth and inspire and educate. I want to just leave everybody with one last thing, bro. Like, what would you say makes a great leader? How can someone actually be the leader right now? I think you've given a lot towards this. I just want to close it out with that. How can we all show up more powerfully as a leader in our own lives and around us in business, in our community, for the world? And thank you, bro. Thank you so much for taking a moment and adapting to doing this live and be on the podcast, bro.
Some of the best leaders that I've ever met are some of the greatest followers, are some of the greatest students. They have the most compassion. They listen to people. They don't know it all. They know that they don't know it all. They take action. And so I would say in this moment, you can't lead anybody truly until you first lead yourself. And to be able to lead yourself is to know yourself beyond your condition. Whatever environment you grew up into is your domestication, is your condition. If you don't know why you do what you do, there's no possible way you'll be able to lead you because you're operating off of a stimulus that was already there. So learn about yourself and why you do what you do. And from that space, when you know why you do what you do, and you're coming from a place of compassion, you're wanting to listen from a place of neutrality. Not, I know this, I know that, I don't know. Listen, I don't know anything, but I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know when you're coming from that place, even me and my wife, I can never hear anything that she's saying when my pride and ego and righteousness is up, and vice versa. And when both of ours is up, we can't hear what anybody's saying. But when we're in that space of, I really am interested in knowing and hearing you and loving you. In order to get there, you got to be able to do that with yourself. And I would say in this time, that's what would make a great leader.
Facts. I love it, bro. I love it. It starts with us doing the hard work, and it never ends. This work is never completion. You got to continue it, every single day. Every day there's more work to do. There's, for me, just even being in a relationship has caused me to think about how I could become even more a better listener.
And you're in a relationship with a powerful woman.
Yeah,
so it's not like, oh yeah, you can call me anytime you want. You about to have massive growth, bro.
Exactly. It's already been.
Be right here.
Massive growth. Massive, like just looking at those shadows and being willing to look at myself and being willing to listen. And it's been so powerful, bro. It's been so powerful. I look up to what you've created with Blair, man. God bless you both. I know that must have not have been easy, man. Like,
oh no, it's not. It wasn't easy, and it's not easy now, but it's worth it. I'm committed, and I'm excited because we say it all the time. Our relationship it's like being in a relationship where somebody's actually standing for your growth. Mm-hmm. She won't accept lesser version of me, and I want to accept a lesser version of her. Yeah. So it's a forever course on growth. Yeah. Until somebody takes their last breath, but we're committed to even past the last breath. So it's a forever course on freaking growth, period.
I love it. Hell yeah. Well, send my love to her, bro. Thank you so much for taking some time to jump on here with me. I'll talk to you soon. And everybody drop some heart emojis, and please make sure to go follow Garen. Let him know that this inspired you, or if it gave you a shift in your perspective, go let him know. Go comment on his page. Go shoot him a DM. Connect with him, and he's there to help. You know, he's there pouring in his community every single day. He's got programs. He does retreats. He does so many cool things. So make sure to go and follow Garen. And this will also be on the Leaders Create Leaders podcast. So stay tuned for that. And Garen, my brother, I'm here with you. I stand with you, and I'm learning from you. I'm here to continue to support you and your growth. And I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate your leadership in the world. I appreciate who you are. I appreciate your friendship. And I look forward to building this with you for beyond a lifetime, bro. Being part of that growth with you, bro. So thank you.
Let's get it. And thank you so much for humans like you that open up your platform for voices like mine who never thought they mattered. So I know within myself I matter, but there are a lot of voices who don't use their voices that will hear this and say, you know what? Me too. So thank you for your gift, man. Let's continue to thrive and build together.
Hell yeah, bro. All right. Talk to you soon,
All right, bro.
Garen.
Take care. Peace.
All right, everybody. Thank you for taking some time to join me today in the live. I appreciate you so much. I'm here for you. So if you need support, shoot me a DM. If you're looking for a tribe, let me know. Send me a DM with the word tribe. If you just need a mindset shift, or you want to learn more about entrepreneurship, storytelling, leadership, that's what I'm all about, as well as obviously family. So I love you. I appreciate you for taking time to be on here with me. And I'll talk to you guys soon. This will be on the Leaders Create Leaders podcast, so definitely go check it out. We have a new episode. And by the way, my pilot for season 6 will be dropping. Stay tuned tomorrow. I'm really excited for the pilot and our new season dropping next week. It's been a long time coming. Our team worked so hard to put together our YouTube show. So if you're not subscribed to Gerard Adams TV on YouTube, make sure to go and do that and pay attention for the pilot and season 6 starting next week. I love you guys. Peace.